Greetings, this is the Timeshare Traveler. Today is episode 244, the risks of timeshare. So I'm a timeshare owner. I'm going to go through the risks that I see that through the whole process of how something can go awry, and the timeshares may not be right for you, or it turns out to be wrong for you. So I wanted to give an insider's view of my experiences and so forth. So I'll talk about the sales process pressure that often people talk about, and I've experienced as well. And I just want to remind people that timeshare is not a real estate investment. I'll go through the difference of that. And a lot of people talk about the annual maintenance and all that kind of stuff. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about is the complex rules of use. I think those are all the challenges that risks of timeshares have for people. So I just want to go through that as a timeshare owner who's faced them himself. So anyway, with that, let me jump into the sales process pressure. The number one complaint I think of people about is the sales process pressure that's felt that to buy, you're given the free gift, and then it seems like, that therefore there's a right to pressure you. And a lot of people feel pressured into buying. They're on this one, typically on a wonderful vacation. Oh yeah, I'll get this free. We can have free dinner, and the next thing they know, they're overwhelmed, and they're kind of talked into more wonderful vacations like the one they're on. And it's not unusual. They actually people are enjoying themselves, and they would want it. Most people would want to do that. Who wouldn't? It's kind of the point. So there's a lot of pressure. So here's the challenge. The results of an emotional decision, often without any supporting facts. That's ultimately, at the end of the day, I believe that's what happens. Because I know when I went through it, I was a little more methodical, but I felt the pressure. Not everything is explained. It's impossible, first of all, because there's just too much information to actually explain everything. Not only that, but on not everything is understood, even if it's attempted to be explained. So I don't want to make all the blame. It's two-sided. It takes two people to enter into an agreement, and it's fault all around. No understanding of the effort to understand a complex set of capabilities. This is far more complex than driving a car, but yet you can go on a car lot and buy one, or you can go to a timeshare presentation and buy one. But the set of complexities to use a timeshare effectively is quite high. I mean, it's so again, here's the biggest thing that I find when people say they can't do anything is people often buy the minimum the salesperson will sell, not the minimum you need to go on vacation like you want. So the salesperson has a minimum, and they're wanting to sell you what you need. And when you say no, they fall back into, well, I'll sell you the minimum I can sell you, and hopefully you will eventually upgrade to what you need. But there's a lot of people who get upset with that when they realize they effectively can't use it for what they feel like they were promised. And the truth is, the salesperson sold them something less than what they actually needed. So I think those are the biggest items I've experienced in the sales process pressure. Not trying to justify it one way or the other. It's just the reality of the environment, and you should be aware as a potential purchaser. The next thing I want to talk about is timeshare is not a real estate investment. Timeshare is a luxury. Just like a car, or maybe more so than a car, it drops as soon as you leave the lot, or in this case, as soon as your 3-day expiration period ends. Unlike a car, you don't need a driver's license to use a timeshare, and there are no owner's manuals provided. So you couldn't buy a car and drive it off the lot unless you had a driver's license. I guess you could drive it illegally, but for all practical purposes. But you can buy a timeshare without any knowledge of how to use it and quote unquote drive it off the lot. And there's no owner's manual. Like if you look at, I don't know if there's still owner's manuals in cars anymore. It's probably all online, but there at least is an owner's manual, and there is a timeshare guide, but it's really complex and it's hard to find it on most websites at the companies. Okay, so here's also the big difference. In real estate, the value comes from holding the asset over time. I'm also using the house, so if you're buying real estate and living in it, that's using it as well. So there's plus. But the real value in economic sense is actually holding it a long time because the thing appreciates. With timeshares, the value is in using it over time, not in holding it over time. And so here's the deal. Here's the problem. If the rules are hard and you don't put in the work to learn how to use it, it's hard to use it. You're going to feel horrible because you haven't used it over time. And again, the value with timeshares is in using them, not in holding them. With a car, and I'll use a car analogy again, you have to pass a test before you get the car and use it. With a timeshare, you get to learn about it and use it after you've bought it. So anybody can buy it and anybody can quote unquote drive it, but that doesn't mean you know how to drive it. And it's hard to know if you'll be good at driving your timeshare when you buy it. There's a certain people that, planning ahead. It's not like a hotel, and I'll go through that in greater detail, but that's fundamentally what's different. It's a luxury. Real estate, the value you get, not just from using it, but there's a value of living in it, but the value as far as economic value is in holding it over time. In timeshares, the value is in using it. So if you don't learn or know how to use it, or it's too complex, I don't want to blame anyone. That's where you run into trouble with regards to timeshares. Okay, let's talk about the risk of annual maintenance. Rarely does anyone ever understand timeshare maintenance when they first buy. I mean, I had a little inkling, but not really. I just wanted to take vacations that were more upscale than I did before, and then I wanted to reward myself, and the maintenance fees were not onerous to me. The maintenance fees go up each year as operational costs go up. As far as I can tell, they seem to go up basically with inflation, and no one explains the costs per night of using a timeshare based on maintenance fees. I'm very big on how many points does it take to do this? How much do I pay in maintenance for those points? This costs me so much per night to stay. I'm very big on that. Most people are not, and even the timeshare salespeople, when I explain, when they're trying to talk me into something, I said, well, then your cost per night is this. I don't want to, that's not worth it to me. There's never, as far as I know, I'm sure somewhere there is, but I've not seen it. The operating comparisons are never given. Like, what's the cost of a hotel? Now, they'll talk about how hotels are growing and the current average cost, and 10 years from now it's going to be this much more. But they won't actually say, here's what it costs to stay at a hotel, and here's what it costs to stay at a timeshare after you pay for the actual timeshare itself. And there's no cost comparisons of Airbnbs versus timeshares, so you can get a comparison. That's sort of it's sort of the buyer beware problem I see in the sales presentation of the comparisons, but I actually compare them. I look at that, and I've looked at Airbnbs, and I've used Airbnbs, but the timeshare overall, I feel consistent quality and whatever, but I don't want to, that's my point here, is not to justify why I went ahead. It's just, those are the things you need to consider and see to yourself, well, maybe I do want to just stay in hotels because this is too much of an ongoing hassle. And last but definitely not least is the complex rules of use. The booking rules and the idea of a peak season in various seasons. I was like, when I first said that, I went, what? I mean, because I'm used to, I just go book a hotel. And that, yes, the prices might be higher in certain high seasons, but it's not something in my mind. It's just the price of the hotel when I want to get it is this. Do I want to do it or not? Whereas when you own a timeshare, the point values change and the actual costs and so forth really is affected. So unlike hotels, timeshare cancellations can be must use often. There's probably rules that are slightly different, but in general, it's 1 month in advance. And typically, you have to book 6 to 12 months in advance to make sure you get what you'd like. And maybe even 13 months in some situations. But my point is, it's a whole different experience. Well, going online to book a hotel, it's interesting. If you don't find a hotel in the area you want to be, you'll just go to another brand. When you own a timeshare, you can't just switch the points to another brand. I mean, there's exchanges and things like that. But in general, it's not like, oh, I want to go to this city, Oh, that one's sold out. Oh, bummer. Let me go there. No, because you're locked into only these units. So it's much, that's a complex, and it's frustrating when you can't get what you want, where with the hotel, you just switch to another brand. And then there's the whole concept of different, the room size, different points, what do you have a view of the ocean? Do I have a view of downtown? Do I have the view of other units, and the different points? All this complexity, and so many people just say, well, I just want to go there. And there's all the other things they have to figure out before they decide. So again, it's just more complex, more choices. And so it's just a harder deal than even Airbnb or any hotel. And then there's exchanges, cruises, and other things, and the use for them. How many points does it cost? What's that really the value? Can I use cash, points conversion? And I could go on with more and more rules. My point is, I've given you enough to, what I want to tell you is it's a big shift from just, I want to go to a hotel. Let me go to this city. I'll pick a brand, I want to go to this hotel, but, it's okay if I go to another one because I still want to just stay in the city. So anyway, I hope you like this video. Don't forget to give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about my channel right now. Hi, this is Cliff, and I'm the Timeshare Traveler. Welcome to my channel. The purpose of my channel is to educate those who love traveling in timeshares. I've been an owner for 15 plus years at timeshare ownership. I have elite ownership with Marriott, Hilton, and Worldmark. I have published over 100 timeshare video reviews, and I've published over 95 timeshare tips. I can be found on Facebook at Timeshare Trav, at Twitter, Timeshare Trav, and on the web at www.timesharetraveler.com.